So if you made it this far, I hope that you have a really good understanding, or at least a starting understanding of how the WordPress Administrator dashboard works and the different sections that are available. Now on your second or third website, you're probably going to be able to skip the previous videos in this series. So if you've already done this a couple of times, you can skip straight to this video to just get your site set up and started. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the initial steps that I take when I'm creating a new website with WordPress. So remember that I talked about creating the structure of our website first, then adding in all of our functionality, and then adding in our, using our front end theme to build the pages. So this is that first step of creating our initial structure. And then once you're done with this, the next step is using the functionality list in LattePress to select the functionality that you want to add. We'll go through those tutorials to set up all the functionality on your site. Then you'll choose your theme and we'll start getting into designing pages. And then we'll, of course, show you how to launch your website and make it live on the internet. So in this first step, we're just going to do the first couple steps that we want to do whenever we're setting up a WordPress website before we get into functionality. So this is a brand new WordPress install. So the first thing that we want to do is you can see that we have some updates here. So the first thing that I want to do is go through and make sure that everything on my site is up to date. So I'm just going to click select all under plugins here under the update screen and click update plugins. And then I'm going to click on return to WordPress updates page, and I'm going to do the same thing with my themes. So now all of my themes are updated. So I'll just click on updates again and we'll see that I don't have anything that needs to be updated. So the second step is I want to go into first my plugins, and I want to get rid of these two plugins because we're not going to be using these, and we don't want to have any plugins on our site that we're not going to be having activated and used. We need any extra bulk or anything in there that's going to just be messing around. So we're going to select all on these two plugins, or we can do this manually just by clicking delete, clicking OK, and again on Hello Dolly, we're going to get rid of those two plugins. Now, if you don't have those plugins, then don't worry about it. But if you do have them, just go ahead and get rid of them. I'll show you how to set up everything we're going to need later on. And now we're going to do the same thing with our themes. So while you're building your website and adding functionality, this 2017 theme or whatever the latest theme is that's from WordPress is going to be good. And so if you have any other themes installed, we can just get rid of those. And again, it's just so that it's less things to update, it's less bulk, it's less hard drive space. So if you're using Pantheon, you're probably seeing all these themes. With Flywheel or Kinsta, you may not have them. Maybe 2017 is the only theme, in which case you have nothing to worry about. But if you do have extra themes, we just want to delete these quickly. So we're going to click on each one and click on delete. And we're going to do that for all of them except for the 2017 theme or whatever the latest one is. So 2017 is here, so let's get rid of all the other ones. So now I've deleted all my other themes, and you can see the only theme I have installed is 2017. It says current theme and it is activated. So that's the first thing. Now we've kind of cleaned up our website, right? So the next step that I want to go in, normally what I do when I'm creating a new website is I draw out or write out on a piece of paper or in this Excel spreadsheet or however big my website's going to be, I write out all the pages that my website is going to have. And then I'll go into pages and I'll create each one maintaining a structure, right? So the first thing, we can delete this sample page and we can click on add new, and we'll create, for example, a home page. Now, for your home page, for a marketing site or a business website, you're probably just going to have a home page which is going to have static content on it. Alternatively, if your website is specifically going to be a blog and you want your homepage to show your blog posts, then we'll do that a little bit differently. But in this page setup, I'm going to create a home page, an about us page, some services pages, a blog page, and a contact page. So all those are all the pages that I'm going to have. So if you're creating this website specifically to be a blog, then still create the home page, but you won't need to create the blog page specifically because we're going to have our posts show up on the home page. So business marketing site, if you're also going to have a blog, create both pages. If your website is only going to be a blog, you're not going to need that additional blog page. And I'll show you how we're going to set those up, like which pages show which content in a little bit. So for right now, let's just create our pages. So I'm going to create a home page and I'm just going to click publish. I'm not going to worry about any content right now. I'm just going to click add new again. we'll add in an about page. Click add new again, and I'm going to add in, say, a services page. And then through the other videos, we talked about having a services page, which is going to have an overview of all of our pages. And then let's say we wanted individual pages for each service that would go into more detail. So you may have your own setup or needs that kind of follow that format. But what we would do in that situation is we create a new page, and we'll say, let's use my company as an example. So we offer, web development. And under here, under parent, on the right-hand side, we're going to select services as our parent and click publish. And let's say that we offer, web design or graphic design, and we're going to do the same thing. And then let's say we offer online marketing services, and we'll do the same thing. So we just click that parent page or that services page. And this just helps us really keep things organized in the back end, like on our pages and stuff like that. Having them actually be dropped down on our menu is part of the menus operation. But it's really helpful, especially if you have a lot of pages, to kind of keep things organized with parent pages. And it also helps in our URLs. It's going to add the slug for, say, /services/web development, instead of just myname.com/web development. So that helps out a little bit with SEO, and it helps us be organized, right? So now I'm going to create a blog page. And now I'll create a contact page. So now if I go to pages, right, I have a page called blog and I have a page called home. But there's nothing really different about those pages from any other WordPress page. So how do I get it to act like a home page? And what I mean is, if I click on view, you can see that it's going to be my website URL/home. So right now, this is just acting like a standard WordPress page. It's not acting like a home page where it would just show up at myname.com. My home page should come up. And the same thing with the blog. If I look at my blog page, it's just my URL/blog, and there's nothing there, even though I know if I go into posts, I have that sample post, so it's not showing up here. And the reason for that is we need to go into our settings and go into reading. And this is where that your homepage displays settings comes in. This is why this is important. So if you are just having your website be a blog, and on the homepage of your blog, you should have the posts, you're going to leave this exactly how it is. And then if we go to our homepage, right? So this is our home page, not our blog page, just our home page. On the website, you can see that it has my blog post. So it says your home page displays, or that first page that loads up when you go to your website, displays your latest posts, right? So that's how you would set it up. And that's why you don't need to create a blog page, because they're going to show up on your home page. For a business marketing website, you're going to want a static home page and a separate page for your blog if you are going to have those two things. So in that case, we're going to click a static page, the radio button next to a static page. And under the home page dropdown, we're going to select our home, our page called home. And then under our posts page, we're going to select our page called blog. Now if we save our changes and we refresh this page, our home page is just our home page that we were using. Now it's not /home, it's just showing up when we first load up the page. And if I do /blog, now that I've dictated this blog page, it's showing our post. So it's this under the settings reading. That's how we dictate which page within WordPress should act as our home page or load up when we load up our site, and which page should act as our blog page where it's going to display our blog posts. So now we have our pages. We've dictated them. You can see here, front page and posts page. So those are the pages dictated to be in those areas. We have our other pages. Under services, we can see our sub pages. And so we're not really adding in content here. We're just setting up the structure of the pages on our website. For posts, you can do the same kind of thing, but it's not really necessary because all posts are generally going to be in that area or in that same kind of structure. If you wanted to go in and add in all the titles of your posts so you have an idea of how many posts you're going to have and what they're going to look like, you can do that. But when we get into front-end page building, that's really where we're going to get into adding in our content and formatting it correctly. You can, however, at this point, go into your categories and even your tags if you really want to go into that detail and add in all the categories for your website. So again, I could do something like, if I was going to have a blog about what we do, I would have maybe a web development category, I would have maybe a web design category, etc. So if I was going to write different blog posts about different development or website purposes, then I can create all of my categories and I can have them in there. So when I do start adding in my posts, I'll have all that kind of meta information ready to go. And we can do the same thing with our tags, right? So the first thing, we go in there, we create all the structure for our pages. Then we can go in and set up categories and tags for our posts, and we've set up our settings to dictate which page should be our home page and which page should be our posts page. All right, so now we have kind of a standard page, and the one thing we're missing is our menu. So let's go into appearance and menus. And you can, I mean, you should be using right now, if you've just installed the 2017 theme, you can pretty much use that theme straight until we get to the front end theme section of our website, because it generally works with everything. We don't have to worry about any kind of compatibility issues or anything. So now let's go into our menus. Let's create a main menu, and you can call this anything you want: top menu, header menu, etc. Just add in a name and click on create menu. Select top menu or whatever the header display area for your theme is. It should be, if it's 2017, it'll be top menu. And then we're going to add our menu items. So let's save that quickly, and then let's add in all of our pages. Then we're going to reorder those. I like to have my contact page be the last menu item, and I like to have my blog page be the second to last. Now, this may change depending on what your priorities are, but I always feel like this is a pretty good way to order it: home, about, what my company does, the blog, and the contact information. So let's save that. Now I'm going to add my sub pages for my services. And like we talked about, I'm just going to drag it up here and slightly indent it. And click save again. And now if I go to my website, I have my home page, I have my nice menu here, I have my services menu with my drop down, I have my blog, I can see my example blog post, and I have a contact page. So right now there's no content on those pages, but everything, the structure of it is set up. My pages are set up and ready for me to add content, and my menu is set up. We can also go in to our widgets. So after menus, let's just take a look at our widgets. In general, for the blog sidebar, I would keep search, keep posts and comments. Now again, this is if you're going to have a blog and if you're going to have these things, and archives and categories. The only one I do recommend getting rid of is this meta. You're very rarely going to need that, so you can just delete that widget. And we don't need to save, it'll automatically save that and do it. So if we just go back to our dashboard, there's two more items that we want to take care of before we finish up. The first thing is permalinks. So if you remember during our WordPress tour, we talked about setting up the URLs, and we're going to do that through our permalinks. So the place we're going to go is we're going to hover over settings, and we're going to click on permalinks. And if you remember, we're going to click on custom structure, and then we can just get rid of this information here. And for the most part, I do recommend doing the category and then the post name. So those two tags there. So /category /post name, make sure the percentage signs are there at the beginning and the end of the word. So we're creating a string that says replace this category with the actual category name. And so this is for our blog posts, and this is what I'm going to recommend for the majority of people, is to use that category post name. And if you remember, that's so people don't see older articles and think they're outdated if you're keeping them updated. If you're not planning on keeping them updated, or you need that date structure for one reason or another, then you can do either the day or name or whatever one makes most sense for your content. But for most people, especially if you're going to be keeping that content updated, I recommend the custom structure and using /category /post name. So just drop that in, select whichever one makes the most sense for you, and then click on Save Changes. And the last thing we need to do is we need to go into our reading section. And there's this option down here, search engine visibility. Now you remember when we first got started way back in the first video, I talked about on our home screen we had this message here for search engines discouraged, and that's what this setting enables. So basically this is telling Google and other search engines, this site isn't ready yet. Don't index us. Don't start indexing our pages. Don't start sending people to our website because we're not ready. We're not launched yet. Now, because we're on staging URLs, regardless of the host that you're using, whether it be Flywheel or Kinsta or Pantheon, they lock down their staging areas. So generally, we're not going to have to worry too much about search engines coming in and indexing our site. But just to get the habit, or get used to doing it, we want to always make sure that while we're building our site, we have this search engine visibility enabled. So we want to discourage search engines from indexing this site. So we make sure that this box is checked and then click on Save Changes. And then during that launch process, when we're launching our website, I'll remind you to come back and uncheck that, and I'll also help you get your site indexed with Google and submit a sitemap and all the other stuff. So I will make sure that all the search engines are checking out your site, but while we're getting ready and while we're still building our pages, we want to prevent them from indexing us. So, as we're building, it's not indexing half-made pages or, giving us low page rank for content that hasn't been finished yet. So we want to just tell them to hold off until our site is ready. And so that is generally it for the first initial steps. It seems pretty simple. You just go in there, you set up your initial pages, your initial structure, set up in the settings which page is going to act as your home page, which is going to act as your blog page. Then you can go in and add your post categories. Then you can set up your main menu and your widgets. And at that point, and then go through, maybe if you want, through the rest of the settings pages and set those up however you might need. And that's really everything that you're going to need to do to be ready to start adding functionality to your website. So that's a good start. And then once you've added the functionality through your functionality list, we can start adding in our plugins and building our site out. And then that last step of adding in our front end design. So those are just the first basic steps that I like to take whenever I'm creating a new website. So we have our initial page structure, our menu, and our blog pages and such set up, maybe our blog categories, and we're ready to go and start adding functionality. So I hope that after this series of videos, you have a pretty good idea, or at least comfortable now, starting to go in and going through the WordPress dashboard. As you can see, everything is quite simple. The only thing preventing you from building websites right now is just knowing which information is where, what does what plugins you should be using, but there's nothing really complex about building a website with WordPress. If you do have any questions or comments, or you have any feedback about this initial set of tutorials that would help you, learn a little bit more information, please do post in the LattePress forums, and myself or somebody else will try to answer your questions as soon as possible. If you're ready to move forward, just go ahead and if you're using the LattePress app, the next step will be using that functionality list to choose which plugins or functionality you're going to require for your website.